Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Malika Hilton and Ryan Hilton, who are co-owners of Admiral Travel International. Now, Admiral Travel International is a Virtuoso member, and we're going to talk to them about how they have survived this pandemic. And in fact, they got some great business coming up that's going to be really shows that you can do something in this pandemic, and we may be actually emerging from it. And we're going to find out all about the secrets to their success and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Malika, first of all, hello, and Ryan, how are you and where are you?
Oh, we're good. We're in our offices in Sarasota, Florida.
Okay.
Obviously, with this pandemic, we have not been able to travel as much as we normally do at this time of year. But so we're here.
Yeah, so let's just get right to the big news, because this is what made me sort of give you a call, because you just announced 4 new departures to Africa and the Galapagos using Crystal Luxury Air, which actually I have been on, and I've seen the larger plane and the smaller one. Specifically, Crystal Sky, which is a reconfigured 777 luxury jet, and then their Crystal Bombardier Global Express. Can you talk about these 4 departures and how they came to be?
Yep.
Certainly, James. So in 2019, we partnered with Singita and did a Crystal Sky departure over to Africa, direct, nonstop. The flight itself was a part of the experience. You know, it wasn't only the destination, just being on that aircraft and experiencing that crew and that environment was a part of it itself. Everybody had an amazing time. We returned, and Malika began planning the next departure, which was Morocco for May of next year. Very thoughtfully planned, included more time on the aircraft, having realized how important that was to the experience. Designed a Morocco itinerary, was very well received by our travelers and sold 75 to 80% really quickly. Mm-hmm. Then we moved into the COVID era. Everything changed pretty quickly. Luckily, all of that had been planned pre this, but we realized at that time that travelers need or health and safety, a traveler's health and safety is a very different part of the equation today. The environment is very different, and to be able to provide the luxury traveler with a direct, non-stop, safe environment to rich experiences around the world, we think is very important. Our commitment to conservation in Africa drove us to partner with the African heavyweights when it comes to conservation. You look at Singita, Wilderness Safaris, and beyond.
Sure.
Collectively, they're responsible for the sustainable conservation of many millions of acres and employ many, many thousands of people. We knew that without the traveler in Africa, the environment was going to come under pressure. A lot of people back in the villages, and one of the first pieces of information we got out was poaching was on the rise. The bushmeat trade had increased notably, and with the absence of the traveler, there was space for more of that to happen.
Yeah. Now,
our goal.
Yeah. So these so you have 4 trips. There's and I think there are 2 to Africa and 1 to Galapagos, I believe. And
correct.
1 to, you already booked it. You already booked the Morocco one. What are these all now booked, or you still can take clients?
So when the idea is to, or the idea behind it was to open these departures up to the trade.
Okay.
Because we wanted to make sure, as Ryan was saying, it's more important to get that traveler there. Africa really, really needs us, which is why we chose Africa to have, the focus of those departures. So The goal is to open it up to the trade. So the Botswana trip in February and the South Africa and Galapagos trips in March, right? Both of those are in March. Those are all open to, or February and March, are open to the trade. So they are not sold out. In fact, they're actually just starting to launch right now.
Got it.
Because it was, the timing of planning these trips in the COVID era is challenging more than anything else. The Morocco trip in May, for May of 2021, is not open to the trade, essentially because our clientele has pretty much already sold that out.
And that's the one you're hosting that one, right? Correct?
Yeah. Yes, correct. Yeah. So, and Ryan and I will also be on the Botswana one with the wilderness safaris, but we are not hosting the Galapagos with and Beyond or the South Africa one with and Beyond. Ryan approached them with this idea because we knew how successful our trip was back in 2019, how successful the trip in 2021 to Morocco was. So Ryan thought this is one sure way to get people to Africa, to the Galapagos, and get them there safely. Because as we all know, health and safety is a concern. But again, for those of you who love Africa and really want to get back into that destination to save it, we're just trying to fill those planes to get them there.
No, and absolutely. And of course, Africa, a lot of Africa is open and is not, it's not as restricted as other countries are by COVID, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And it's a destination where you can go an entire day and come within 6 feet of two tested people. Your guide and the server at the table are the ones who you have the most contact with. Otherwise, it's wide open spaces, lots of fresh air, gorgeous landscapes, amazing animal behavior, and time with the people you want to be with.
Yeah, and plus you're going over on a 777 that has, I think, 88 seats. If I recall, I the only time I've been on that aircraft was when it was out in Vegas before one of the Virtuoso conferences, and I think they were inaugurating it with, I think Matthew Upchurch was the godfather. Godfather of a plane. I guess you can't.
Yeah. Well, that's how we came up with the idea to do this. Is the same thing. We were out in Vegas and we got onto that plane and we took a look around and we said to each other, we can fill this. But what we learned with that, it is 88 seats. We're not trying to fill more than 55 or 60. We know that level of traveler doesn't want to be on a full plane.
Right.
And when it's chartered through the different organizations that charter these flights, I don't think they ever really fill it to 88. And we learned, we had almost 60 on our flight to South Africa back in 2019, and it was perfect because as soon as that light goes off and the sound, where you can move about the cabin, everybody's up in that front bar area. And I don't think
I would be too. I mean,
yeah.
No, it seemed like a wonderful product, and I know at one point they had an idea they were going to sell that independently, and that didn't quite work. It really became more of a charter aircraft, and then for a while I think it was being chartered by large people from the Middle East and from Asia, and I hadn't heard until you guys started doing it of any Americans who had chartered the aircraft.
Well, usually everybody's keeping it quiet, right? I mean, the kind of people who are chartering those planes certainly aren't going to be posting about it. What's nice, though, is that Crystal Sky has been really busy. She's flying everywhere. Not that I follow the Kardashians, but Kim Kardashian she chartered that plane and took it to the Brando for her birthday party. So
as one does, I would do that too. I've been to the Brando.
Hey, listen, she's helping the industry out, right? So we're excited about hopefully filling these 3 departures with our colleagues and their clients, and allowing them the opportunity to say, hey, you've been pent up travel, you love Africa, I've got the trip for you. Or the Galapagos is on the baby plane, on the baby Crystal. So
I've been on that one too. In fact, I think that's my Facebook image is on that one. I don't know.
Oh, nice. yeah. So we're excited about it.
Talk a little bit, if you manage to get these all filled and you have, do you think this will prove that sort of high-end, big-ticket luxury travel is sort of relatively immune from crises like this one that we're experiencing?
I certainly wouldn't say immune. And there are many unanswered questions about what the next 60 days to 120 days is going to look like.
Yeah.
Obviously, lots of promising news. It's all got to come together really well for it to, I think, pick up very quickly. There is certainly a lot of demand, a lot of desire. The desire is amazing. And if we can collectively with the partners continue our dialogue with our travelers and make sure that we are creating products that they do indeed want to engage now, then we can provide some certainty, certainly for our travelers and for us.
No, absolutely. Now, let's shift over to talk a little bit about the history of Admiral Travel. When did you guys start this agency, and how has it really grown over the years?
So in early 1997, I graduated college a few years earlier and was working at a travel agency and got to a point, the goal was to obviously open up my own. Mm-hmm. And March of 1997, opened Admiral Travel. 2 months later, I was on a site inspection trip in South Africa and went to Londolozi, and Ryan was my safari guide. So the rest.
You're hitting on the safari guides. I don't know about that, or he's hitting on you.
So he moved over a few months later, and we got married, and have been building our business together since then, since 1997. And what started with just doing a couple of incentive groups that we had just locally here. Really, kind of turned into, we both love to travel. Our clients seem to have enjoyed traveling with us. So in the late 90s, now we get into the early 2000s, our kids, have come around, and we actually were able to take the two of them on trips with us. Sure. But we kind of, with Ryan's specialty in Africa and mine in Egypt, that's what we're both recognized for. Right. We started to get the sense that our guests really wanted to have us take them to other places outside of Africa and Egypt. And now as the kids are older, one's out of the house, the next one's out in a few more months, we've got more time to travel. So we had gone from maybe doing like 2 to 3 trips a year being hired, by other organizations to handle their trips, to now we're creating our own. And we are doing the one thing that COVID has kind of helped us do is get more creative, like this time off. Mm-hmm. And we have launched a new website. All the things that, people were probably doing during this downtime of not selling. And now we have up through 2023, about 10 to 15 escorted departures per year. Wow. And, we've actually sold out quite a few already in the future, to where we have a gorilla trek in 2021 that we've sold out 3 different times. We have 3 different departures. So I have to now get in shape to do 3 gorilla treks next year. But we have.
I hear that. Yeah, I hear it's a little strenuous.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice because the demand is there, and neither one of us want to say no to people, and they want to travel with us. So, in March, we were on that last Silver Sea cruise in Australia, New Zealand. Like, we were entering the waters of New Zealand at the same time the Prime Minister was shutting down the borders. Wow. And we had a group of about 40 on board with us. And they were so calm because they knew we were able to handle it. At that time, we didn't know if we needed to charter a jet to get them back to the United States, like what would happen. So we kind of feel like our guests, they like to travel with us, but I think in this in the near future, meaning if they're going to go anywhere in 2021, they want to come with us because they know that we'll be able to take care of them on the ground should anything happen. So that's really where our niche now is. Yes, we still specialize in the African safaris and the trips on the Nile, but we're also getting outside of that, and we are doing the Northern Lights, and we are doing the polar bears, and we're doing the Antarcticas, and we're putting all of that stuff together now to plan up through 2023, and it's been very rewarding to see how those trips are selling right now.
No, that's great. And so I guess everyone needs their own safari guide, right? But to the rest of the world. So,
yeah.
Now, but you said that now, how is travel, your specialty, you said, is Egypt and Africa. How has travel been selling to those 2 places,
How is it selling? Again, a lot of demand. We were in Tanzania in September of this year, just a couple of months ago. And I was surprised at how thin the travelers' numbers were. if you don't have your safari in place for the prime months in 2021 and possibly 2022, you're almost picking up the scraps right now.
Right.
Traditionally, that destination, you need to plan 12, 24, 12, 18 months in advance to ensure you get what you want when you want it. And now with everything that was moved from 2020 to 2021, there's almost no space.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, and I know I was there are a lot of new boats on the Nile that have been coming out. It was supposed to come out this fall, and I know I was supposed to go on at least one of them, I remember, but that didn't work out. But I gather that that's also a place that people have demand for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Egypt, their borders are open, and people, we have a couple of people going, and I have to say, if you've ever wanted to go to Egypt, now's the time to go, because nobody's there. You know, it's unfortunate. We want people there, but the planes are flying there, and the sites are empty. So
that's a perfect time to go, and that's what we learned. You know, and one of my last trips was to Mexico when there was almost nobody left, and it was kind of nice being on a beach by myself, you know, in many ways, and being able to go to any of the restaurants I wanted to on the property. But,
right.
Now,
think about those airports. If you've traveled anywhere in the last 10 years, think of how many people you would pass in Atlanta between the flight you get off and the flight you get on. Now there's a fraction of that in the system, and you can actually walk a straight line between the two. It's very different out there now.
Yeah, well, no, the only place I found it when I was coming back from Cancun recently, it was getting a little more crowded. People are going down to Mexico, that's for sure. And then going through Vegas, as we were talking about earlier, people are starting to get back there. But, they opened up the brand new LaGuardia Airport, and actually it's a joy. I mean, it's there's nobody there, and it's actually modern and nice. And I'm sure you've flown in and out of there, and that's a big shock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now let's talk a little bit about what lessons you've learned over the past 7 months and this year on how to sort of better run your agency, and also the resilience, as we talked about a little bit about luxury travel, maybe something that other travel advisors and agencies can learn from your experience.
So, we said from the beginning, of course, all of us just assumed March, April, okay, we'll get back to it by August, right? So in the very beginning parts of it, we made a commitment to each other and to our team that, we're keeping you on full time. It's going to be quiet. You're going to be busy doing all of your rollovers from 2020, to get everybody that space for 2021. So we were still pretty busy for those first few months, taking care of all of that. I think what we've learned too is how important, not that we never thought our partners were important. Brian actually has to go grab a call. So
okay.
We're gonna
it's a booking coming in. It's a booking coming in. You got to
exactly right. Yeah. But that how important it is to keep that relationship with our partners. I'd been on some Zoom calls, and I heard some of my colleagues talk about how they were, demanding these refunds, and to me, I just felt like what we need to do to be working together with our partners is really encourage our guests to let the funds roll over. Let our partners keep your money so that you can reuse that in 2021 or beyond. Right. And then leaning on our partners for that same sort of that hope to don't increase their prices, let their price point stay the same if they're going to allow you to keep, the money on file. So I'm really excited that about 90% of our customers have all kept monies on file for 2021. Amazing. Yeah. And we just feel like these are the same partners who do so many things for us, the hotel fams and the cruises and the free, all this and that, we're always the first ones to be accepting that invitation on their dime. So I think it's really important that we pay that back to be supportive. Of course, we have clients that have just said, no, absolutely not. I need to have that refund. So what Brian and I have done is we've paid that refund personally. We have not gone to our vendors to say, pay us this back. What we have asked them to do, though, is let us use it as an Admiral travel credit. Don't hold us any kind of penalty for that particular guest, because everybody is handling this differently, right? We all have the client who says, I'll go as soon as possible. And then there's those who just won't travel ever again. And, they say ever again, but we have to be sensitive to that. And we've also been, with our staff, we've kept our staff on full time. We have promised them even up through the end of the year. We said, you know what, you guys are here full time. We are going to focus on continuing that conversation with our clients. Let's keep talking to them. Let's be, sensitive to their needs, but see what travel they may want to do when the borders lift.
Got it.
After the financial crash, we put away for that day. We didn't think a pandemic would come, but we were putting away so that if we had to be faced with something like this, we wanted to make sure our staff was taken care of. Because at the end of the day, when it's really good times and we're so busy, they're the ones working late into the night. They're the ones taking those phone calls on Saturdays and Sundays and putting it all out there because, as we all know, we're not a 9-to-5 Monday through Friday business, right? Like we're on call. We're like doctors. We have to be there ready to deliver that baby, right? So no matter what time. And they are all so loyal to us, to Ryan and I, that it's only fair. But we do keep reminding them that, okay, now listen, next year is going to be super crazy busy. So remember these times now.
Yeah, especially since you have all those future credits and that you're going to, a lot of people have just moved it to 21 or 22. And so that's going to take up space as well. From your perspective, what kind of travel are your clients interested in booking for next year and beyond?
Many of them are ready to get back on the cruise ships. They're ready to go as soon as they can. Many are coming to Africa and they're taking our lead as far as, since Europe, there's no end in sight here for when Europe is going to be open. And typically that European vacation is what everybody's planning for, like right now for next year. And, it's kind of all over the board, but we've been sending out surveys. So every few weeks during COVID, we send out surveys to sort of gauge that interest of where people want to go. And anywhere from, like I was mentioning before, we have a lot of people interested in seeing the polar bears and chasing those northern lights and really interested in Sri Lanka and Bhutan. So I'm kind of thinking it's more like they're going to get out of their comfort zone a little bit. Maybe we've all realized that, obviously life is short. So now let's do those vacations because we're not promised, what could possibly happen, at any time. The vaccine is obviously really, really good news. And so it's definitely encouraging people to book from, say, like April, May, and beyond. But I'm just seeing more of an adventure side to a lot of our clients and what they're booking.
Well, no, and we just lost 7 months, certainly for cruising, and that's another question about when exactly they'll really be back on the water, with the new CDC regulations. But, the cruises in other parts of the world that may not be as governed by CDC or something like that, I think people want to do. And obviously the expedition cruises have been a growth area. I don't know if you've seen that as well, but it seems like that's
time is good.
Yeah, and that's one of the ones we're planning, one for Antarctica, which I was impressed with how many people they said to us, we want to do Antarctica, we want to do Patagonia, we want to do these destinations that, they never really talked to us about doing. So it's that part's been fun because when we're all so busy, it hasn't allowed me to get creative. So now I've just taken this time and just really put some cool trips out there, and people are responding.
That sounds great. Now, how do you think we're going to emerge from this crisis, or do really what you're doing with these 4 charter trips sort of the first indication that we are going to emerge?
We definitely are. It's just a matter of time. I would encourage all of my colleagues, don't sit around and wait for it. Put something out there and put it together and encourage people to go because they want to. But you got to be, again, sensitive to every traveler's needs. I mean, we're going to go somewhere in April. I know we are. People are going to want to travel somewhere, but maybe not everybody's going to want to go in 2021. So we're going to emerge, I think, really, really well. It's just a matter of time. But I think we also need to make sure all of our guests know that it's going to be different for a while, right? Like that airline flight that used to be nonstop, it might take a couple different routes to get you to where you want to go. So I think we also have to be patient. We have to Somebody said the other day, like, oh my gosh, if I hear this, we're all in this together one more time, I'm going to scream. It's like, but we are all.
Or it is what it is. No.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I mean, first hit, hardest hit, longest to recover. I mean, that's our industry. So we need to be supportive of those guests who are ready to travel and want to travel. But we also have to be supportive of our partners and say, okay, maybe because this service that they haven't been able to afford hiring the full staff to come back. If you're at that luxury resort and service is a little bit slower than normal, that's okay. Like these are the kinds of things that us sitting on this side of the desk have to articulate to our travelers, right? Like don't expect it to be the way it was pre-COVID because everybody's had to make cutbacks. And sadly, service is the first thing that is going to go. So we need to be patient with the airlines. We need to be patient with the service teams on, at hotels and when cruising is happening, getting back on ships and things like that. We can do it. We just have to be patient with it.
Well, I know we're probably not going to see a lot of these protocols like mask wearing and things like that go away anytime soon, regardless of whether there's a vaccine or not. It's probably a good idea anyway, if you can do it. And of course, I was thinking, as you said, don't worry about the service on airlines so much. But if I was on the Crystal Sky, I think the service would still be pretty good.
I will be back there behind the bar making drinks. So
that sounds like the perfect trip.
Okay.
Anything else that you want to get out about your agency, Admiral Travel, luxury travel in general, or how you've gotten through this?
Yeah, I think every day we just kind of wake up with a new attitude and think positively. We all have our health and our we want to be safe. My team, I gave them all the opportunity, like, hey guys, if you want to get out there and travel, we will support you. So next week they're going to Gorilla Trek in Rwanda. They're going to Giraffe Manor in Kenya. They're doing Turkey. So, the goal is really for all of us to get out there through social media, show people we can travel safely, and follow all the protocols because we've got to learn to live with this. And in order to survive this and then thrive this, through this or after this, it's just going to take a lot of effort for all of us, our partners, our employees. I think we're going to be sitting in a very, very positive position within the next few months here because travel is the one thing that everybody's missing most, and they'll get out there and do it. So we just have to be patient.
Well,
because we're all in this together, James.
Well, yes, just to go for another phrase, we're all in this together. Well, listen, I want to thank you for taking the time. I'm sorry, Ryan, to get back. I guess he had to. Hopefully, maybe you just booked another charter. I don't know.
I hope he did. I hear him taking credit card numbers now. So.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, listen, good luck with these 4 big trips. I was very, very impressed by you launched them in this era. And as you said, I think you're going to come back strong.
Yeah.
And I do hope we'll see you soon. Hopefully at a Virtuoso meeting someday.
I hope so.
Somewhere next year, or maybe somewhere in Africa. We'll see what happens.
Either one, both of them. We're ready for it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I'm James Schillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.